and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, so that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
It's time to get the Class A high school football playoffs rolling right here on 93.7 The Ticket. Hey guys, Nick Sainer. Join me and Jay Foreman this Friday night from Seacrest Field as number 6 Lincoln Southeast faces off against number 11 Lincoln East. When these two teams met back on September 1st, the Spartans won a double overtime thriller, 31-28 over the Knights. The winner keeps their season alive while the loser goes home. It's the Lincoln Southeast Knights against the Lincoln East Spartans this Friday night in the first round of the postseason at 7 p.m. right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. When you think of places with tons of great beer selections and amazing food menu in Omaha, the conversation should start and end with Bärschen Beer Garden in Benson. With more than 30 beers on tap, including several German options, you're sure to find something you like. And don't forget their Nashville hot chicken sandwich or any of their delicious hamburgers. Start off with the warm house-made pretzels and you're on to a great day at Bärschen Beer Garden in the heart of Benson in Omaha.
So what's this new concept happening at 1040 O Street? There's 93.7 The Ticket, there's the Mill Coffee and Tea, and there's Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery? Well, yeah, it's all of those things. It's a place for the community to hang out, grab a drink and a bite, and just chill, or work, or meet, or chat, or whatever you want to do. 93.7 The Ticket, the Mill Coffee and Tea, Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery, all together at 1040 O Street.
You had to know that when Wingstop set out to make a crispy, juicy chicken sandwich, they wouldn't make it in just one flavor. They'd make it in all 12, like lemon pepper, mango habanero, hickory smoked barbecue, and OG hot. So why have one new favorite chicken sandwich when you can have 12? Try the new sauced and tossed Wingstop chicken sandwich today for only $5.49 at Wingstop, where flavor gets its wings. Valid for a limited time and available at participating Wingstop locations only while supplies last. Price subject to applicable taxes and fees.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. This is the happy hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, no Rico today. Austin Norman joins me. He's to my left. Austin, what's up, man?
Oh, living the life. Matt Norlander knows what's up.
Yeah, there you go.
He's the man.
Explain.
He ranked Nebraska ahead of Iowa in his top 101 teams of the college basketball season.
Hello. Maybe we'll have to talk a little Husker hoops coming down the show. If we have plenty of stuff to get to today. As always, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line are both open for you guys, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. If you want to watch us on your television screens, are places for you guys to get in touch with the show. Once again, that phone number, 402-464-5685. Plenty of good stuff on the docket today, as Tony White, Marcus Satterfield spoke a little bit today. We heard from Matt Rule yesterday. We also heard from Ryan Walters yesterday. And obviously, Ryan Walters, the first-year head coach from Purdue. He led the defenses in years past against Nebraska while at Illinois and being the defensive coordinator for them. For those that don't know, a Colorado alum as well. Mm-hmm. And was actually in discussions or was being talked about as potentially the next Colorado head coach prior to Deion Sanders, obviously making his way to Boulder. And so there's a lot of things of stuff to uncover here for Nebraska Purdue. Obviously, last year, like if you think back to Nebraska's game against the Boilermakers last year, there was a lot of scoring, number one. Probably the opposite of what we'll probably expect this Saturday, and how quickly it's just shifted to where Nebraska's defense is much improved. Mm-hmm. But then also you have Nebraska's offense that is not nearly what it was last year, doesn't have the threat of Trey Palmer on the perimeter, which is a big part of it. Trey Palmer went off in this game against Purdue last year.
That was fun to watch. It was screw it. Trey's down there somewhere. That was that game from Nebraska. And with one more possession, I think Nebraska at least ties that game up, but they just wasted one too many possessions in that third quarter is really what happened for Nebraska. This Purdue team being remade the way it has under Ryan Walters.
Yeah.
Hudson Card, I'm not the biggest fan of. He's been fine. He's been pretty much exactly what I think we could have expected Hudson Card to be for them. And the receiving core has really been completely remade. As I look at it, I remember the name TJ Sheffield. And other than that, it's a whole bunch of new guys.
Yeah.
Maccabee in the backfield has been fine, 4.6 yards per carry. Only gotten 105 carries so far through 7 games. So not a huge workload for him. Tyrone Tracy, the Iowa transfer.
Yeah.
I always thought of him as a wide receiver. They've shifted him to running back. He's got 50 carries on the year. Played a decent role out of the backfield as well with 9 catches. So there are some names that you know, but it's going to be strength on strength. I still think that it's going to be Purdue's offense against Nebraska's defense being the matchup that determines this game.
Well, remember last year, in that Nebraska-Purdue game where it was the final score of 43-37, Devin Maccabee, who was a walk-on at that point, kind of ran all over Nebraska. He had 30 carries for 178 yards and a touchdown. He also added
for a team that averaged 75 rushing yards a game coming in.
Yeah. And so Devin Maccabee then gets put on scholarship towards the end of the year. And then what happens is once Ryan Walters is announced as Purdue's next head coach and Jeff Brom announces that he's leaving to go to Louisville, right? Devin Maccabee goes, wait a minute, I'm going to enter the portal. Devin Maccabee entered the transfer portal at the end of last season, only to then come back and return to the Boilermakers, where now he's starting running back, and as you said, a little over 100 carries this season. With that in mind, right, and this is where, once again, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line are both open for you guys the entire way here. Love to hear from you guys throughout the entirety of the show, as well as on the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. When you look at Nebraska's strength, and Tony White talked about it a little bit today, right, is their defensive line right now. Past defensive statistics aren't that great. They're not that glamorous, right? But man, Nebraska's rush defense is something to hang their hat on. And they have, and they're going to continue to do that when they're playing these teams ahead of them in the schedule that frankly just run the ball more than they pass the ball. Outside of maybe Wisconsin or Maryland, I should say.
Maryland's in there. Wisconsin was throwing the ball around the yard until this last week when they remembered they had Braylon Allen. And they still struggled at times to run the ball. They just gave him a high volume of carries, and then they broke into it with an 18-point fourth quarter. And so that was something kind of just to watch as well. So what's interesting, though, is Tony White talked about how Nebraska's offense has really benefited their defense in this, and that mentality that Nebraska, frankly, they have to run the ball on offense in practice. So here they are. That's only going to make Tony White's defense better in his eyes. It's going to make the defense better because the offense is actually competent running the ball, but it's going to make the offense better too because the defense has been so good at stopping the run. I get that some of Nebraska's opponents abandoned it at various points in their different games, but I don't think that's necessarily because the other teams were so bad at it. Dylan Edwards is a good running back. Colorado went away from it. Sean Tyler at Minnesota, good running back. Maybe getting his feet under in game one. Minnesota went away from it. Michigan didn't have to. Northern Illinois stuck with it, even though they probably shouldn't have. Louisiana Tech went away from it pretty early, hit a couple late. But I think that's a testament to the integrity of the scheme. That you see, three-man front, and most people are going to be like, okay, let's eat it up, right? Three defensive linemen, we can do this. But the scheme, but the players taking a step forward. Starts with Nash Hutmacher in the middle. Ty Robinson, I don't know if I quite see the NFL love and hype yet. I get the size. I need more production from Ty Robinson yet. But Blaise Gunnerson's playing a role. Cam Lenhart has burst on the scene when he's been healthy. Jamari Butler having by far the best season of his career at Nebraska. Contributions from Prince William Monmielen as a freshman. James Williams off the scout team, in his first game action. Riley Van Poppel's played a role. Nebraska can throw a lot of different guys on that defensive line, and you don't really see a drop-off.
It's interesting. So you mentioned Ty Robinson, and there's been a lot of discussion regarding Ty Robinson this week, especially because Matt Rule came out and said, that type of performance that he had on Saturday is one that moves you up a couple rounds in the NFL draft. And I think Steve Sipple actually asked this question he asked Matt Rule on Monday, you say that Ty Robinson had this dominant performance. You look at the stat sheet and there's one tackle, right? And understandably so, every little thing that you do is not always going to show up on a stat sheet, but you would expect more than one tackle, right? So here's what Matt Rule had to say in response to Ty Robinson and why he characterized it a dominant performance despite only having one tackle.
I mean, other guys sometimes get sacks because he runs up the field, makes the quarterback run for his life. I mean, on the last sack of the game, he beats the guy one-on-one. He was absolutely dominant in my mind. By far Ty's best game. The type of game that that moves you up a couple rounds in the draft. I thought he looked excellent. I always go back to the tape, not the stat line. Like at the end of the game, I'm always when I'm walking out of the media room and I see Nash there, I'm like, they picked you, huh? And he's like, yeah, you had 2.5 sacks. I can't even tell that sometimes during the game, right, what's happening. But when I watch the tape, I just think Ty hit his stride. And that doesn't mean that. I mean, they're both hitting their stride. And then Cam comes in, and then Jamari's playing well. But, I think Ty's someone that the other team has to take account of when he plays.
So, I mean, Ty Robinson, and to Matt Rule's point, I mean, he's right. I look – obviously, Ty Robinson doesn't have the size of, like, Damian Daniels. But if you remember everything that Damian Daniels did for Nebraska's front seven, especially, was that, frankly, Damian Daniels just took up a lot of space. And he would have to be blocked by one or two guys. And he had the ability to get to the backfield. But when you looked at like a guy like Damian Daniels, man, he plugged it up. He plugged it up, and he allowed the second level guys to either close the holes or get to the backfield.
Damian Daniels was great. His brother Darian in his 1 year transferring in did that job really well. I would be fascinated to know Ty Robinson's thoughts on having to move inside and outside across different years. I think Ty Robinson has found a home more on the edge as that down lineman in the 3-3-5. He was fine inside, But if you're going to move to the edge, that's a playmaking position.
Yeah.
It is. So I'm willing to say that Ty Robinson is a dominant role player. He's doing what's asked of him to the best of his ability. But the only play I remember was him batting down a pass.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't watch the game close enough. Maybe I didn't go back and rewatch the game close enough. Ty Robinson was fine. He did his job. But if he's going to be dominant, show the stats too. Because if you want to be an NFL guy, you're not going to get there by being a dominant role player in college. The guys that put up dominant stats in college are the ones that turn into role guys in the NFL.
That's interesting because so we've been saying for quite a long time, like we need to see this version of Ty Robinson that we just haven't seen yet. Right. And I think, to be fair, we've talked about him and we've seen him more active this year than in previous years. So that step ahead, or, that step forward has been taken. It's just now it's the consistency and continue elevating yourself as that defensive lineman.
This is where, too, I think I would love to dive into more numbers. What's his, pass rush win rate? Because usually if you have a high win rate but not a lot of sacks, the sacks will come.
Yeah.
I'm sure Ty Robinson,
and you can still affect a play by just forcing the quarterback to make a decision quicker than what he's comfortable with.
Right.
And especially in a Big Ten conference where the quarterbacks, specifically in the Big Ten West, right, are not very good.
Even if they have 5 seconds.
Even in the Big Ten East, they're not that great outside of Talia, outside of, maybe Kyle McCord and JJ McCarthy.
JJ's playing well. Aller will get there.
Yep.
I've been pretty impressed
Still
with him,
relatively young.
But young. McCord hasn't lit the world on fire. I think he's a good enough decision maker, but I don't know if the same talent is there.
It'd be fascinating. Side tangent here. It'd be interesting to see like Kyle McCord on a I don't want to say Maryland, on a Michigan State. A Kyle McCord.
What if he took over for Aiden O'Connell at Purdue?
Well, and that's where it's interesting. Like when you don't have the surrounding cast of Cade Stover, Emeka Ibuka, Travion Henderson when healthy, when you don't have that type, and now Ohio State doesn't have the offensive line that they've had in years past either, but it would be interesting to see, and we'll never get there, like if Kyle McCord without the surrounding cast of Marvin Harrison, Emeka Ibuka, Cade Stover, and so on.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
But back to Nebraska, Ty Robinson and taking that step forward.
He's doing his job, and you can't ask more of him than that. But a dominant player does his job not does his job but if Ty Robinson, to me, again, if Ty Robinson were dominating, he's doing his job, but other guys then, when they're elevated, some of those just naturally would go to Ty Robinson.
Yeah.
Right? He would not just be in the right place, he would be in the right place at the right time and make a play. Ty Robinson, I'm sure, has had his hand on a number of quarterbacks' jerseys, not been able to bring him down, forced them to step up into a tougher throw or into another teammate. We saw that, a couple times against Northwestern. But if Ty Robinson was a dominant player, those sacks are his. Don't be greedy, right? Still do your job within the framework of the team. But if you're dominant, that sack is yours. You go get it. You find a way.
It reminds me of like what we are wanting to see from Ty Robinson. And although it's a very small sample size, it's like what we saw from Cameron Lenhart in the Colorado game in the first half. When he had those 2 sacks, he figured out a way to make the play, right? And that brings us to a conversation I wanted to have today. And I want the listeners, obviously, input on this too, 402-464-5685. When you look at Nebraska's front 7, I'll just say that, or, front 8, even if you want to at some points, like I found myself during the Northwestern game, although it be against Northwestern and their type of offense, right? Nebraska this week is going up against a Purdue Boilermakers team that ranks 91st in rush offense. Okay. 91st in rush offense. They're averaging a little under 140 rushing yards per game. And Nebraska, as we know, is a top 10, top 5 type rushing defense and has shown that consistently throughout 7 games. Purdue coming off of a bye week, Nebraska, as they came off of a bye week last week. I sat there and I thought, man, how much more enjoyable is it to watch a defense from Nebraska when they're able to somewhat get consistent pressure on a quarterback? That's something that Nebraska, frankly, hasn't had in the last couple of years. No. Like, and do they have the dominant pass rusher that they had in a Sue or a Randy Gregory? Probably no. I mean, they don't. That's not even a question about that. But as a collective effort, and maybe from what designs Tony White is drawing up, they're figuring out a way to apply a decent amount of pressure every single play.
They are. And it's nice to see. I was going back because as you teased this and trying to figure out who some of those better defensive lines in recent memory were. The 2019 group, I think, had a lot of untapped potential. You have the Davis twins. Ben Stille had 6 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. Alex Davis was a rotational guy. Both Daniels were on that team. DeAndre Thomas had a role to play. Yeah. That was a solid defensive line.
I mean, you think about some of the defensive lines of years past. I'm sure these are some of the names that you have discovered. I mean, like the Casey Rogers of the world transferred before he really seems like he reached his ceiling at Nebraska, right? And part of this is because Nebraska lost a defensive line coach in Tony Tuioti, who ended up going to Oregon.
Right.
But you see, like Casey Rogers is one of them, right? You look at last year, even in 2022, I think there was a lot of people, myself included, that expected a guy like O'Shawn Mathis, who came in as such a highly touted transfer, to make a bigger splash, and unfortunately just didn't. And Garrett Nelson on the other side of him, I think we somewhat viewed those two guys like, okay, hopefully they can get to the quarterback consistently. And once again, understanding the way the game works at times, they might not get to the quarterback every single play. They might not get a sack every single play, or 4 or 5 times a game. That's fine, but just apply a little bit of pressure.
Defensive linemen make their linebackers and cornerbacks a whole lot of money and a whole lot of plays. It's hard for that to work inversely. I think back to that 2009 team. Like, obviously, I'm not going to compare this Nebraska team to that one.
Yeah.
But think through the names on that team. You have Sue. You have Jared Crick. You have Barry Turner, who had 12 tackles for loss. Even a guy like Pierre Allen.
Yeah.
Cameron Meredith was a younger guy. Baker Steinkuhler was on that team. Those guys made Philip Dillard, Larry Asante, even Matt O'Hanlon a lot of money. Right? Gomes, Hag, Amukamara, Denard. We know those names.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if this group for Nebraska is similar to that 2014-15 group where you have Malik Collins leading the way, Greg McMullen flashed at times, even guys like Ross Azuris and Jack Gangwish played their role. Like, why can't Blaise Gunnerson be Jack Gangwish?
Yeah, like you're not asking, I think, a lot of these guys to be Levante David. You're wanting them to be like David Santos.
Sure.
Like be those types of players where every guy kind of just carves out a role. And Byron, the Hog Farmer, makes an interesting point that says that the has to help recruiting that we have production from freshmen already when we play 9 of freshmen on Saturday. What I would say, he goes, the defense is awesome. The depth chart switches D-end and outside linebacker every week, and doesn't matter how they line up. What I would say to that, Byron the Hog Farmer, kind of building off of that, is that's why I think there's a lot of people excited for the future.
Yes.
Right? I don't want to say and kind of throw salt in the wound. What's this even look like when you have a still young Ernest Hausman on the roster, right? That's behind this real experienced group of, or even ahead of the real experienced group of linebackers.
He'd be in the mix with Reimer and Henrich, but both those guys have been banged up. So he's at least a spot starter. And I feel pretty confident saying he would have taken John Bullock snaps.
And I understand, like, hey, Ernest, you do you, man. Like, you went out, you went to a national champion contender. And
what if he knows Connor Stallions?
Maybe. But no, like, nonetheless, like, that's the thing, is I think there's a lot of people out here, and rightfully so, that see performances from O'Reilly Van Poppel, or we see performances from Cameron Lenhart, or more notably, somewhat recognize when they're not there. Like, there were people saying, man, I wish Cameron Lenhart was in the lineup when he was missing those 2 games. And so that, I think, is more of a tell of, like, how much of a role these young guys are already playing on Nebraska's defense. And we know the statistics of rush defense. Could their pass defense get better? Certainly. Like, Nebraska's pass defense probably needs to get a little bit better. Marquise Buford may be returning at some point. You wonder about the redshirt rule with him. You've had a couple injuries in the secondary, right? But I think when you look at Nebraska's defense, they're, as you mentioned, Austin, the defensive linemen for Nebraska make life, or defensive linemen in general, make life for everybody around them that much easier. Similarly to offensive line offensive line on a team makes it easier for quarterbacks and running backs.
It's a perfect corollary there.
Yeah.
I think the biggest way that we can tell that Nebraska's defensive line has gotten better is that, I mean, the sack numbers are what they are. They were really good early. Pressure rate went down, obviously, against Michigan, even against Illinois, creep back up a little bit against Northwestern. But to me, I'm going to look at the rush defense numbers. As few yards per game as Nebraska is allowing, and there haven't been hardly any big plays on the ground. Only a small handful of carries over 20 yards or more against this defense. And that tells me the defensive line is in their gaps where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be. It tells me your upperclassmen linebackers are reading the play right and they're filling their gaps correctly. It doesn't matter if the linebackers fill their right gap if the defensive lineman doesn't get there. If he's not taking on an offensive lineman or two, shoving them out of the way, creating a playmaking lane for the linebackers. It's been a really solid defensive line, and I think that has helped the linebackers' numbers look even better than I thought in some cases they could have been for a guy like John Bullock.
Well, I think, I mean, that's another thing that I've kind of discussed on the postgame show with Jay, and I think DP and I actually talked about it last Saturday, is that you don't see as many chunk plays, right? Like chunk plays will kill a defense, giving up the 3rd and 30s or 3rd and 15s. They just take the wind out of your sails and they kill any momentum that you had throughout and you built up throughout those first 2 plays, right? Like you look at the way like Nebraska's offense is, right? Nebraska's offense, if they commit 1 or even 2 penalties on the same set of downs within like the 4 downs, it feels like they're just a mile away.
Yeah.
And partially that's because they're a somewhat of a poor offense right now. But also, they're going to be facing some better defenses. Michigan, if you watch Michigan games like against Indiana, and I mean, even against Nebraska's offense, frankly, if Nebraska was in a 3rd and 9, a 3rd and 11, 3rd and 13, you felt suffocated. Like you felt like there's no hope. Like you're just
let's just punt now.
Like
Save a play.
You're just hoping that you hold on to the football, and you don't commit a turnover, and then you say, all right, we're gonna just try to change the field right here. So when I look at, and as an unnamed texter pointed out, Northwestern broke a couple big runs last week, and they had the big run that Omar Brown chased down, and Matt Rule talked about it. And then also they had the big pass play after the touchdown, right? And so like, yes, you're going to give up, I think, some of those broken coverage and those explosive plays, but I also look at the response by Nebraska's defense. And in years past, and this is not just like a previous staff thing, this is like a 2015 to, I mean, frankly, even like 2013 to 2022, I guess, you would see in times where Nebraska's defense would give up a chunk play, and it kind of felt like, all right, they're going to score a touchdown. It's just a matter of when. They're going to find points. It's a matter of when. And we saw it twice on Saturday to where Northwestern was able to get into Nebraska territory, and it was like, okay, don't let that compound. Don't compound chunk plays given up, or don't compound mistakes, right? Like Nebraska gave up that big pass play towards the end of the game, and inside the red zone, what did they do? They bowed up and they forced a field goal. Now, partially that's because of the poor offense of Northwestern, but that doesn't mean there shouldn't be credit given to Nebraska's defense.
Well, it goes both ways, because after that pass play, Northwestern tries to run that inside tight end who's off the line out to the flat. Bullock was blitzing. He made the quarterback eat it for a second. Now, if the quarterback takes one step to his right, kind of sidearm Heinrich Harburgs it, maybe it's a touchdown. But guess what Northwestern did the next play? Ran the same one. And guess what? They completed it this time. Malcolm Hartzog tackles the guy at the line of scrimmage a yard or two behind. When I look at those big plays, Hartzog got burned by Kurtzy. He read the out route out and up. But the running plays that stand out to me were the one that Omar Brown made that tackle on. They ran it into a blitz. You know, Nebraska blitz, credit Northwestern. They had the right play call. They executed their play call correctly. Omar Brown looked a little hesitant at the start of the play, kind of creeped down, but didn't commit. He was just faster than the running back to catch him. The other one that stands out to me is they ran that short side of the field pitch for 15 or 20 yards. They just noticed they had a numbers advantage, so they ran it. You know, when you have a numbers advantage, you want to get a chunk play like that. They took advantage of it, but it didn't compound, to your point.
So, and Matt Rule, before we take a break, Matt Rule said something along the lines of like winning teams make winning plays, and the things that Omar Brown, the things that Malcolm Hartzog did in pursuit, and then ultimately the defense the rest of the time, like that's what winning teams do. And I thought that was interesting because Matt Rule is such, especially in like year one, we're seeing this, and he's honestly like open to admitting it too. He doesn't he cares about what the score looks like, but he said it multiple times, and he said it like 2 or 3 or 4 times on Monday, that he's like, I don't care what the score is. I care about the way that it's looking.
Yeah, and play to a standard, not the score.
Right. And so I think this is the quote of Matt Rule talking about those plays, right? And how he's had on past teams guys that will just let him go and they'll just coast and they'll say, all right, they beat me, they can have this one, right? So it was an interesting kind of way that Matt Rule paraphrased it and talked about it yesterday. So I think this is the clip.
You know, when I say like, hey, would have lost the game earlier in the year, and I think you maybe asked me, what do you mean? Like, or then maybe someone asked me what I mean. I've been on a lot of teams where like those runs break and Omar Brown doesn't run the guy down, or Malcolm gets beat, right? And a lot of times I've seen that guy turn and look at the safety like this, and the ball walks in for a touchdown, and that's losing teams. And that's why when I say like I don't care about the score, I care about the film looks, I want to win the game. But when I see that, I'm like, man, the fact that Malcolm got beat and didn't feel sorry for himself and ran it down and got the guy tackled at the 8-yard line, then we held him to a field goal. That's the winning football. Can the defense continue to do – the defense will have to do it more this week with the amount of injuries on offense. The special teams have to do it more this week. So we can't start to go like this. We have to continue to go like this and just say we're playing as the Huskers.
It's interesting because you listen to those quotes, and frankly, like we listen to Matt Rule every week, 2 times a week, 3 if you count on game days. And like something like that to where he's talking about finishing out a play and the effort. Like I keep going back to this thought in my mind of like, that is the minimum.
Yes.
Like that needs to be the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Never in a million years would you ever, I would ever imagine like if I was watching a football game, just letting up and not keeping the foot on the gas, whether it's on the offense or whether it's on the defense. I think one thing about this defense, as we've seen them continue to have consistent success, I see some of these guys, and they talk about it as well, and then back it up, right? There's multiple parts to that, where they want to just continue to elevate the amount of success that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that somewhat refreshing, not because previous guys in previous years didn't say they wanted to do that. It's that we actually have this belief now as fans that on Saturday, they're going to hold Purdue to fewer than 14.
There was the same or similar messaging from previous staffs about, oh yeah, effort, don't give up, fight to the end, find a way to make a play. But for some reason, it's clicking this year. I think that reason, a big part of it is Tony White. We talked about the defensive line at the start of the segment. Terrence Knighton, having played in the NFL, I think he knows how to connect with his guys. They seem to really want to go to bat for him.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, effort should be the minimum, that takes me right back to best 3-9 team of all time.
Yeah.
It takes me back to the end of last year, where effort should never be in question like it was at the end of the 2017 season.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Like, the other thing I'll say on that is, I wonder if Malcolm Hartzog, didn't quit, and what's been an up and down year for him, if he didn't quit on that play, because he still knows he has the confidence of his coaches. He took a gamble.
Yeah.
It didn't pay off. He missed the interception, but he went and made the play. The coaches, I think, are more than happy to take the good with the bad with him because he didn't give up on it at the end.
I always think back, for some reason, I believe it was the 2018 game at Michigan. Chase Winovich, after the game, completely blew the doors off of Nebraska. Chase Winovich, a former Michigan linebacker, I believe he got drafted by the Patriots. I don't know where he's at right now. He had a pretty decent career. He has a pretty decent career in the NFL. But I will never forget listening to the
the Dolphins just released him.
Okay, so I'll never forget listening to the post-game press conference from Chase Winovich, the Michigan linebacker, and looking dead in the camera and multiple times saying, I just didn't feel like they wanted to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like they I lined up across from him, and he's like, you can feel when somebody actually wants to be out there. And he goes, I felt like none of them really wanted to be out there. And I'm sitting here as like a Nebraska fan going, well, dang, dude, why you gotta say that about us? But then I'm sitting there like, now, if I was a player and I heard that, I'd be like, dude, bleep you. Like you got to take that to heart at some point. And it's the same kind of observation that we see from like the offensive line and stuff, where it's like, at some point you got to be tired of getting your face beat in, and there's the pride that has to come through it. I think we're seeing a lot of pride from this defense, both young and old guys, where frankly, they don't want somebody talking that way about them. And that also came after a Michigan beatdown of Nebraska. But I will never forget, like I can't think of many things more disrespectful than number one, getting your butt whooped on the field. But then after the fact, somebody going, hey, yeah, you know what? They didn't want to be there. They didn't want to be out there. And you have no ability to say, no, let's go again. You can't take those back.
No.
You can't, like, if you then go to the meeting and be like, hey, Chase Winovich doesn't know what he was talking about. We wanted to be out there. Well, dude, you just lost 52-7. Like,
you didn't try. And then have you respond the next week. Oh, wait, you didn't.
So, I mean, like, you talk about, it's not even playing in fear of, like, I don't want to have to regret this rep, but it's this, we don't even give you the opportunity to talk that way about us. So, all right, we are way behind time. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll keep diving into this. Once again, Rico is out today. Nick Sainer here, Austin Norman there. You're listening to the Happy Hour. Shout out to Empire Fence and Netting for their support. As always, 402-464-5685. Feel free to chime in on the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line. We'll be right back on 93.7 The Ticket.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
When you think of places with tons of great beer selections and amazing food menu in Omaha, the conversation should start and end with Bärschen Beer Garden in Benson. With more than 30 beers on tap, including several German options, you're sure to find something you like. And don't forget their Nashville hot chicken sandwich or any of their delicious hamburgers. Start off with the warm house-made pretzels and you're on to a great day at Bärschen Beer Garden in the heart of Benson in Omaha.
Tune in to the Malone Radio Show from 9 to 10 p.m. every Sunday night to learn more about the Malone Center's goal to eliminate multi-generational poverty in Lincoln. It's the Malone Radio Show every Sunday night from 9 to 10 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
My dream was to work in commercial banking, but it required a college degree and I didn't have one. I found out that Doane had classes for adult learners on the Lincoln campus and online. So I earned my bachelor's degree, and 5 months later, I landed my dream job. I decided to continue my education, and now I'm working on my MBA at Doane. For me, the Doane experience has been life-changing.
At Allo, we believe in the exceptional. From extraordinary whole home coverage to super fast speeds, our local teams are always on hand to make sure your service is running at top performance. Let go of lag, banish buffering, and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, so that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
You had to know that when Wingstop set out to make a crispy, juicy chicken sandwich, they wouldn't make it in just one flavor. They'd make it in all 12, like lemon pepper, mango habanero, hickory smoked barbecue, and OG hot. So why have one new favorite chicken sandwich when you can have 12? Try the new sauced and tossed Wingstop chicken sandwich today for only $5.49 at Wingstop, where flavor gets its wings. Valid for a limited time and available at participating Wingstop locations only while supplies last. Price subject to applicable taxes and fees.
When you think of places with tons of great beer selections and amazing food menu in Omaha, the conversation should start and end with Bärschen Beer Garden in Benson. With more than 30 beers on tap, including several German options, you're sure to find something you like. And don't forget their Nashville hot chicken sandwich or any of their delicious hamburgers. Start off with the warm house-made pretzels and you're on to a great day at Bärschen Beer Garden in the heart of Benson in Omaha.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Tune in to the Malone Radio Show from 9 to 10 p.m. every Sunday night to learn more about the Malone Center's goal to eliminate multi-generational poverty in Lincoln. It's the Malone Radio Show every Sunday night from 9 to 10 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
It's time to get the Class A high school football playoffs rolling right here on 93.7 The Ticket. Hey guys, Nick Sainer. Join me and Jay Foreman this Friday night from Seacrest Field as number 6 Lincoln Southeast faces off against number 11 Lincoln East. When these two teams met back on September 1st, the Spartans won a double overtime thriller, 31-28 over the Knights. The winner keeps their season alive while the loser goes home. It's the Lincoln Southeast Knights against the Lincoln East Spartans this Friday night in the first round of the postseason at 7 p.m. right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it?
What do you mean?
Did Caesar live here?
No.
I didn't think so.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman. Rico is out today. He'll be back tomorrow, however. 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line. We're going to have to go somewhat quick in this middle segment here. Yes, the middle segment, as we will then cross things over with Strick.
Back in town.
Yep, back in town. He's back. He's a little sleepy, but he's back. As we get you ready for On the Block with Strick and Austin. Okay, let's get right to this part here, because this surfaced social media yesterday, and from Ryan Walters' press conference on Monday, Purdue coming out of a bye week. It's always, when I watch the opposing coach's press conference, it's always fascinating to see how many questions they have to answer, because we are at the far end of as many as possible in Nebraska, right? Like the press conferences last 20, 25 minutes or so. Ryan Walters, less than 10 minutes. And so it's always like David Bronze, even last week, was like 16, 17 minutes. But anyway, that's beside the point. Ryan Walters, once again, I mentioned at the top of the show, he is a Colorado alum. His father played for the Buffaloes and for the Colorado Buffaloes. And he was asked how he feels about Nebraska and the connection between Ryan Walters and the N on the Husker helmets.
90,000 plus are sea red, right? My history with Nebraska started at a very young age.
You know what? Hold on. I have a better audio than that, because I want to make sure we can hear it. There was already one pulled up, and so I was like, hey, I'll just use this one. But I got it on my own. So let's just okay. So once again, here is Ryan Walters, the Purdue head coach, who once again was the defensive coordinator at Illinois last year. Here he is on his feelings towards the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Yeah, I mean, 90,000 plus that are Sea Red, right? My history with Nebraska started at a very young age. I obviously grew up a fan of Colorado, my dad playing there, and that was like the hated rivalry, right? And so you remove yourself from that as a coach, and the first time I got to play against Nebraska again was in 2021, my first season in Illinois, and I just remember them running out of the tunnel at, in Champaign, and the feelings come back, right? It's like, man, I really can't stand that color, don't like that end on the helmet, and so definitely this has been a big week, and we've explained to the guys just how crazy it gets out there. They are diehard fans, win, lose, or draw. And so we're looking forward to a great venue to play a competitive and tough football game.
Don't forget, Ryan Walters, by the way, allowed Illinois' defense to be the number one total defense for a pretty lengthy span over the last couple of years, right? And part of that's Brett Bielema and his identity, but also Ryan Walters. And Illinois, after they replaced Ryan Walters with Aaron Henry, who was the defensive backs coach for Walters' defensive side of the ball, they've struggled on the defensive side this year. Now they obviously lost a couple of pieces, but most notably in Devon Witherspoon, the number 5 overall pick, who laid out Rondale Moore earlier this week on Sunday, by the way. Very clean and legal hit there. But Ryan Walters, not a fan of Nebraska.
And it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Like, just reading that quote, I had it pulled up just to make sure I didn't miss anything he said. It says he tries to remove yourself from that as a coach, and then it all came flooding back.
Yeah.
For 2021 Nebraska.
He can't, yeah.
Who was a 500 team at that point. Like, does Ryan Walters really care that much about Nebraska? I highly doubt it.
I wonder.
I just highly doubt it.
I mean, here's the thing is, how much does he really talk about it with the Purdue Boilermakers? Hey, guys, listen, when I was a young kid, I hated Nebraska.
So you have to hate him too.
Yeah.
Is he trying to Dion it? Make it personal?
I
Dion
don't know.
had no connection to Nebraska.
He made it personal.
No, he made it personal. But if you're Nebraska,
say,
you make it personal back. This guy doesn't know who we are, and he still says he hates us.
What was interesting about the Colorado game, because I also I didn't mind the whole like Dion approach to hating Nebraska or adopting this hate because Colorado does. Because it's like, hey, you're part of this university.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have like a bigger problem. Like if Matt Rule was like, hey, I don't hate Iowa. Like I don't have an issue with Iowa. Like I'd be like, all right, man, come on. Like, are you really connected with this university? Are you connected with the fan? Like, I think you have to say that. But Purdue's not a rival of Nebraska.
It also didn't sound like a Ryan Walters thing to say. It sounded a little forced.
Yeah, Ryan Walters, through multiple press conferences that we've heard from Ryan Walters, and also just him being in the media now as a head coach, but then also as one of the better coordinators in the entire country last year, he's not that type of guy to where it's like he starts fights. Like he's not that kind of guy.
He's not going to pick at scabs that don't really exist.
That don't matter because once again, Nebraska and Purdue have never been viewed as a rival.
No.
Right? Like maybe there's a personal vendetta there, but like George Karlaftis isn't going to be coming back and be like, guys, I hate Nebraska.
David Bell's going to be like, man, Cam Taylor really shut me down.
I understand. I understand if it was like Purdue and Indiana. Like I'm okay with that.
Sure.
But
that's Crimson. It's not Scarlet.
Like, come on, man. Purdue's never been a rival of Nebraska. Frankly, Purdue's beaten Nebraska the last couple of times. Same kind of thing that we can say, when we bring up the rival discussion, it's never, all right, who's Nebraska's biggest rival?
Purdue.
Wisconsin or Iowa or Purdue? And then the big peanut gallery goes, Purdue, it's the Boilermakers.
Always has been.
Don't you remember?
Always will be.
Don't you remember the years of, oh gosh, I'm going to make myself look like an idiot here. The guy, the quarterback.
David Blau?
Yes. Former Detroit Lion.
Your boy, David Blau.
Former Detroit Lion. All right, let's go to break. We just wanted to play that clip. And shout out to the audio. Somebody says, nice save, was about to cook you for that bad audio at the start. Hey, that's all right. We fixed it. We're on the mend. Let's take a break. When we come back, we haven't talked about MLB playoffs quite yet. And last night, the Houston Astros basically peed down their leg. Like, the moment's too big.
They pooped on the mattress that Mac was going to sell.
Yeah, like it's that quote or that clip of like Donald Trump wherever, and this is not a political statement. Donald Trump, when he's at a speech, he's like, "Turn off the lights, they're too bright." That's what the Houston Astros did yesterday against the Texas Rangers in Game 7. And anyway, I'll be honest, like there was a part of me, and I can't believe I'm saying this, was somewhat rooting for the Astros. I don't know why.
I don't hate them as much as everyone else does.
I don't have this like personal vendetta for what they did in 2019.
It's so far in the past now.
Yeah, like I don't turn them off. They're too bright. Right. Anyway, so once again, let's go ahead and talk MLB playoffs, because the Texas Rangers, they were losers in 2021, and they spent a lot of money, and they're in the World Series 2 years later for the first time since 2011. And then you have in the NLCS going to a Game 7 with the Diamondbacks and the Phillies once again. So let's talk about the differences, the similarities. Who would you rather see in the World Series? Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll wrap up the happy hour and get you ready for On the Block with Stricken Austin coming up next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the happy hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
When you think of places with tons of great beer selections and amazing food menu in Omaha, the conversation should start and end with Bärschen Beer Garden in Benson. With more than 30 beers on tap, including several German options, you're sure to find something you like. And don't forget their Nashville hot chicken sandwich or any of their delicious hamburgers. Start off with the warm house-made pretzels and you're on to a great day at Bärschen Beer Garden in the heart of Benson in Omaha.
Tune in to the Malone Radio Show from 9 to 10 p.m. every Sunday night to learn more about the Malone Center's goal to eliminate multi-generational poverty in Lincoln. It's the Malone Radio Show every Sunday night from 9 to 10 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Whether you're looking for a place to stay for a concert at PBA, a Nebraska home game, or just a night on the town, the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket is the place for you. Enjoy an evening at one of many restaurants or bars within a short walking distance. Business travelers at the hotel will enjoy free high-speed internet access, a 24-hour business center, and large in-room workstations. And check out the bistro, where you'll enjoy healthier food and beverage options, as well as high-tech conveniences. Book your room today at the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
Whether you're booking a trip to Lincoln for a football game or a volleyball weekend, the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus is the place for you. The Scarlet Hotel is special on many levels, from the delicious Well and Good restaurant on the main floor to the coolest rooftop patio bar in Lincoln, the Barred Owl, on the top floor of the hotel with great views of the city and one of the coolest drink menus. Book your stay or book a staycation today at scarlethotelnebraska.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just the professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
At Allo, we believe in the exceptional. From extraordinary whole home coverage to super fast speeds, our local teams are always on hand to make sure your service is running at top performance. Let go of lag, banish buffering, and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, so that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. Brown Shoe Fit has all types of shoes for you to excel this fall. Check out their large variety of tennis shoes and dress shoes in brands like Brooks, Hoka, Merrell, On, and many more. Browns has the local professionals to get the proper fit, aided by their high-tech foot scanner by Aetrex. Stop by Brown Shoe Fit today, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln, or check out their options online at brownshoefitco.com.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket as soon as the clock hits 0 for the Jay Foreman postgame show. Listen to expert analysis from the Husker Hall of Famer, an 8-year NFL veteran for 90 minutes after the game. The Jay Foreman postgame show, sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Kreekak, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
I vomited last night.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
I literally vomited. I threw up.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert here. Austin still with me on the far side. And Stricky joining the show back here in good old Lincoln, Nebraska. What's up, Stricky?
Man, it's great. And it absolutely feels phenomenal outside. Going to meet up with my boy Cluster this afternoon as well. We're going to get to catch up. And so it's always good to catch up with old brothers of Bellevue West and Husker Nation.
Once again,
Enrico?
He doesn't have a key to the club.
Dang!
No, I'm just.
Would you say that to Rico if he was here?
No, I'm too nice.
Darn right. All right.
Nice.
Anyway, once again, Nick Strick and Austin. Rico on my mind. Rico will be back. Rico will be back tomorrow, mañana. So once again, huge thanks to Empire Fence and Netting for their support as always. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line. We're going to keep this relatively short and sweet since Austin and Strick got a show to do. But let's talk a little Major League Baseball playoffs.
We like talking to you, Nick.
I know. Well,
don't put it on us. No.
I'm not putting it on you.
You want to get out of the hot box.
That is not true.
Pause.
It is not a hot box. It's just a little toasty.
It is toasty.
We have crossed the 80-degree mark. So we are here.
I would prefer the weather be
it's not a hot box
in
though.
In the 30s and 40s.
Oh, yeah?
As opposed to what it is right now outside.
Anyway,
let's talk some more about
let's talk Major League Baseball before Stricky goes off the wheels again. Okay. So the Texas Rangers last night in Game 7, I think going in,
love it.
I would have thought that the Astros were going to have the upper hand. Number
No
one,
doubt.
you were at home. Not that that's mattered the entire series if you watched it, but
the best.
You had the best postseason pitcher in the last couple of years on the bump in Christian Javier, right? It was like in the last 16 postseason appearances, he had 60 strikeouts,
6-1,
60. He was 6-1 record, and he had like a 2.08 earned run average.
Crazy.
Which is incredible in the postseason, right? Because you're facing the best of the best each time you go out there. There's no off nights against the Royals. There's no off nights against the Athletics.
Hey, now the Royals swept the Astros.
Darn right
Hey,
they
now
did.
went on the road,
They
swept the
did.
Astros at the end of the year.
They did, but anyway,
Yeah.
how about that? So when you look though last night, the Rangers is a team and an organization that lost 102 games in 2021. They go out and spend close to $600 million on free agents.
This Mill coffee's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. Shout out
And it costs
to the
less
Mill
than the
Coffee.
Rangers roster.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Shout out to the Mill.
I'm kind of ADHD right there.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Shout out to the Mill. But also, you look at the Rangers, they spend around 550 or 600 million on free agents. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien. They ended up trading this season for Max Scherzer, DeGrom. Like, that's right, DeGrom. But
Jordan
like,
Montgomery.
Yeah, exactly.
He
Jordan
was
Montgomery.
big for them.
But
in a
like,
stretch.
you also have these younger players of like Jonah Heim and Jonah Heim, right?
Yeah, Jonah Heim
and
Josh Young.
Josh Young from
Oh,
Texas
Jung.
Tech.
Did you call him Jung or Young?
It's Young.
Young.
I call him Jung.
Young.
It's what it looks like. But
Yeah.
Looks like Jung.
Yeah. But no, so you have these younger guys that have worked their way up through their farm system as well. And it's all kind of cultivated and come together here in 2023, where they're back in the World Series for the first time since 2011. Then you have the Astros on the other side, who has one of the best bullpen arms in all of baseball in Ryan Presley, right? And just a few years ago, it was you needed a bullpen arm, right? You had the Royals with Wade Davis for a while. That was and Greg Holland, right? That was such
HDH, Herrera
Yeah,
Davis Holland.
That's right. That's right. Kelvin Herrera. But it was like you had you need
HDH, baby.
I mean, you looked like the Cubs when they won the World Series. It was they went out and traded for Aroldis Chapman. They gave away Gleyber Torres, who was one of their top prospects, but it was to get Aroldis Chapman.
Flip
when
side
he
of that
needed
matchup
it.
was Andrew Miller.
They want that right now money.
Yeah, they recognized the window that they had, and they needed it. The Astros had Ryan Presley. They had a really good pitching rotation, and Justin Verlander, despite being a little bit older, is still a very, very good pitcher. And any 40-year-old that can still hit 95 at the knees consistently is going to win you a lot of games off the bump.
Pause. I think if they would have been closer, you would have saw Verlander last night.
Yeah,
I think if they were just able to get it to within that 2 to maybe three score range, you probably would have saw Verlander.
Well, no, it was interesting because, like with the Rangers, they still threw their best bullpen
They went-
arms. They
yeah,
still
they went
threw
with everybody,
Leclerc and they threw Chapman. They threw
Right.
Chapman in the 8th and Leclerc in the 9th.
Chapman was about an inch away from making Chas McCormick have reconstructive knee surgery.
yeah.
Like if that ball hits 1 inch lower, that is an absolutely wrecked
Shattering.
PCL.
Yeah.
Like it would have hit the back of his kneecap, and that would not have been good. At 104, took a fastball at 104.
Ooh,
But then you have a guy like we talk so much about those big names. Then you have a guy in Adolis Garcia.
Come on.
Who the Astros are going to be having nightmares about until next April when the regular season kicks off again, right? Because Adolis Garcia, who hit a bomb, what was it in game 4 or 5, where they had the brawl?
Yeah.
It was
and
one
he
of those.
did what he did basically this time. He walked.
I was just gonna say.
He walked with the bat turned.
I was just gonna say he had the most.
Big
I mean, here's the deal. He responded in the way everybody dreams of responding. That in Game 7 on the road, you hit not 1 but 2 home runs, and one of them is a grand slam to just take all
Put you up
the
a
wind.
touchdown.
Yeah, take all the wind out of the sails.
Yeah.
And I, like you looked at the way that these two teams are constructed. And they have really good pieces. The Astros are interesting because they have one of the better postseason players of all time in Yordan Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
You still have some pieces of like the Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman, but then you replaced Carlos Correa with like a Jeremy Pena, and you had a really, really bad hitter in Martin Maldonado playing some key spots. And
even Yainer Diaz wasn't that great a hitter.
Like you can't. It showed that like you need to be consistent 1 through 9.
How long till it's Kyle Tucker's team? Will it always be Yordan's team, or will it be Kyle Tucker's team at some point?
It's a good question, but
I do love me some Kyle Tucker.
I'm sitting between two baseball heads, so I'd like Nick to jump on that.
Kyle Tucker has burst onto the scene.
He was still a young guy when they won their last one, but given his role on the World Baseball Classic team, I had some really big moments there.
It views him as like a Trey Turner.
A little bit, yeah.
To where it's like, this is like so many more people know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just the general baseball fan because of what he did. Not more people know Trey Turner, obviously. Like I'm not trying to say Trey Turner is on the same playing field. Trey Turner is incredible. I think it's going to continue being Yordan's team.
He's being compared a lot to David Ortiz. Can he ever be the heartbeat of that team like Ortiz was? Or is that still going to be, when Altuve and Bregman leave, will they still be looking back at them, even though Yordan might be better than both of them?
That's what's so interesting is when do you cut the tie with like a guy like Jose Altuve?
Not next year, maybe the year after.
It's incredible to see. And this is why, like, I found myself not minding if the Astros won last night and somewhat kind of rooting for the Astros because, like, yes, every member of that staff was they moved on from. Like, AJ Hinch is gone, and even some of the pieces of the team have moved on or are gone. I looked at the Houston Astros last night, like Jose Altuve after Game 6, and listen to like the way he was talking, the way he was discussing his team and just his career, I guess. And it was like, because of the instance in 2019, he's turned from like what he used to be as one of the more lovable guys in the entire majors to now one of the most hated guys. But his personality hasn't changed. And the way he plays hasn't changed throughout everything.
Hearing DP talk about him would have been early this week, I think. It was either Monday or Tuesday, I think. DP and I were talking about him in the crossover. He referred to Jose Altuve as a baseball philosopher. And you kind of have to be at 5'5".
Certainly.
I am with you in that I wasn't actively rooting against the Astros.
Yeah.
They've paid their penance. They've done their time. They're not cheating anymore. Am I rooting for them? No. I mean, I was pulling for Seattle to win that division. I have nothing against Texas. I'm a big Mike Trout guy. So Houston's not at the top of my list of teams I want to see win the AL West. But as a Royals fan, I don't hate the Houston model.
Yeah.
Tear it all down, be really crappy for a few years, and then make smart moves to extend your window. I want Kansas City to do that so bad, and the longer Houston keeps its run going, I hope Kansas City starts taking the hit.
That's what's interesting. Like the Houston Astros like completely rebranded themselves. They gutted it. They switched the logos. They switched the jersey colors. Like everything was after like the Carlos Lee days. They were like, all right, we're done. Like we need to move on. Right. Man. So that, I mean, that's just really interesting. Then you have like the Diamondbacks who somewhat did the same. Like somewhat they move on from their franchise type of player in Paul Goldschmidt and they allow him to move on and they find a really nice arm in Zach Gallen and they drafted well with Corbin Carroll and they find a couple good pieces with Ketel Marte. And here they are, like,
Gabriel Moreno.
Yeah, like they are the team that isn't supposed to be here, but has consistently proved that they belong. And that's what's so interesting about like the NL this year, and frankly, like even the Rangers, or excuse me, the NL especially, like they didn't win their division. Neither one of these teams won their division. I said it this morning on the drive with Ref that if the Diamondbacks didn't sweep the Cubs. And in turn, I mean, if you want to talk about the chain, if the top 4 relievers for the Cubs didn't get hurt 2 weeks before, the Diamondbacks aren't in this spot.
They don't make it.
Right.
Because down the stretch with the Cubs, when they had the 6 or 7 game lead, and yes, they choked, right? The light's too bright. Like when you talk about the choke from like the Chicago Cubs, it wasn't their offense. They were still averaging down the stretch. If you look like the last 2.5 weeks, 6-7 runs per game. It was their bullpen that their starters, even that wasn't on an exceptional staff. They were giving up, 3-4 runs, but it was the 7, 8, 9 innings where those runs would come back to haunt them and they'd lose on a walk-off and stuff down the stretch. But the Diamondbacks, if they don't sweep the Cubs and if they don't have, I think they played the Rockies, obviously, because they're in the NL West.
Mm-hmm.
If the schedule doesn't match up that way, the Diamondbacks aren't in the playoffs, let alone one game away from the World Series.
Kind of feels a little 2019 Nationals-esque.
Yeah.
To some degree. Even the Braves, when they made their run to winning the World Series with Jock Peterson and his pearls and all that.
Yep.
Just get in. Right? That was the Braves thing.
the
Just get in. The other thing to keep in mind is every year, pay attention to who beats Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Whoever beats Milwaukee gets to the World Series.
That's
how it works.
Wow.
I find
That's a good pickup right there.
I find
that's
it
like
also,
stealing the sign signals, like
shout
that's
out to
Steelgate.
Michigan.
Austin
Yeah.
Connor Stallion tournament.
I wonder sometimes how much home field advantage also matters.
Does it?
Like you look at
in the AL.
The AL, not a single home team won a game.
Mm-hmm.
The Astros took all 3 from Globe Life Field.
Well, the Nats did that in 2019.
Yes.
All 7 games, right? Team won.
Yeah. And like you see last night in Game 6 where Philly is one of the best when they play that one song. I can't remember. I don't know if it's Brandon Marsh's walk up, but it's like the living in a big blue world. Anyway, they like ring it throughout the stadium and that place gets rocking every single time. And the atmosphere in postseason baseball is second to none continuously for such a longer game, right? And a longer product. This is now like game 175 for these fans. And here they are like down the stretch still. It's really impressive and it makes it that much more enjoyable to watch on TV, I think, when you have the atmosphere like that. But I just think you look at the Philadelphia Phillies and like the Arizona Diamondbacks series, like it comes down to pieces. Like it comes down to how well like Philly relies, and that's what makes the NL series so interesting. Like the Phillies rely on the long ball a lot of the time. They rely on the Kyle Schwarbers, the Nick Castellanos, the Bryson Stotts, right? The Brandon Marsh has turned into somewhat of a gap to gap type of hitter.
Mm-hmm.
They rely on that and just quality starts from Aaron Nola and down the stretch with like Craig Kimbrell,
Zach Wheeler.
And I was shocked last night in the Diamondbacks in Game 6 that they threw Craig Kimbrell. And now he hasn't had a great season, but Craig Kimbrell, great postseason, I should say. Craig Kimbrell thrown in the 8th. That's one of your most experienced arms in that bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
And the way baseball and the baseball gods always work is that they're going to find you. And if you don't handle and you're not on top of your P's and Q's at the start and throughout the entire 7-game series, in Game 7, in the bottom of the 8th, or I guess top of the 8th, top of the 9th, you're going to say, man, we shouldn't have thrown. You don't want to make that decision 2 days before in a 6-2 ball game that's going to come back and haunt you in a 1-run ball game when you need your best and most experienced arms out there. But those situations always find you. As a manager, they're always going to find you.
BGs are real.
Man, baseball gods. So anyway, what's coming up on the block today, gentlemen?
Oh, all sorts of good stuff coming up on the block today. We'll start with some NBA predictions. Season starts tonight. Who's going to be MVP? Who's going to be the scoring champ? Maybe throw out a finals matchup or two. NFL weekend recap. And we're going to get to this. I think we have a couple more weeks of evidence to point to now. Scoring is down in the NFL.
Yeah.
Offenses haven't been as good. Why is that? Who are some of the teams that are adjusting well? Who are some of the teams that are struggling? What does it mean moving forward?
Once again, so NBA home opener. Not a lot of people have talked about it today. NBA home opener get-in prices. I don't know if you guys saw this. The Pacers are the cheapest at $9.
Wow.
The Knicks are the most expensive, $216 tonight. So there you go.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah,
2 games tonight.
Yep, tomorrow night. Excuse me. $216 for the New York Knicks.
$216.
By the way, the Knicks put together a package for Joel Embiid. I'm sure you guys will discuss that. So, all right, all that and more coming up next on the block.
That would be crazy.
Rico is back tomorrow. It involves Julius Randle. We'll talk to you guys then. Stick around on the block coming up next.
Fall is officially here, which means it's the perfect time to get outdoors and stay moving. If you're someone who enjoys going on walks in fall weather, but you notice heel pain in your foot when you wake up, it could be a sign of plantar fasciitis. A visit to Fleet Feet Lincoln can help you find the shoes and inserts you need to avoid that pain. Their Fit ID machine takes a 3D image of your feet and picks the shoes that work best for you. Visit Fleet Feet Lincoln, located off of 70th and Pioneers Boulevard, so you can stay moving.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather, sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast